the problem with it is we are in a deficit-based model. Okay, so if we're in a deficit-based model, what are we doing? We're just naming all the deficits that exist. The word itself, disability, conjures up a negative mindset.
Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to Uncovered. I'm super excited. I've got an amazing woman who I am going to be talking with you guys about survival and thriving. And we're going to be talking to Monica. She's worked in the health industry for 22 years. Is the founder and director of Brightlives Disability Service. She's worked from the heart of Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory with the Yolngu people, hopefully I got that right, to prisoners in some of Australia's toughest prisons. She now is a clinical specialist and advocate for persons or people with disability, a career that is centered around patients and clients that don't necessarily have the access to the basic human rights and health and education that we all are looking and aspiring to have in this world. So, Monica, thank you so much for jumping on Uncovered. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
You're welcome, Jace. Thanks for having me.
So we're talking about this particular thing that a lot of us struggle with, is this sense of being in survival mode. Now, when we're looking at what you've done in your history and that sort of thing, I'd love a little bit of a background. If you could just give us a little bit more of a background about who you are, your experiences with surviving and what it is that's that makes you tick, Mon.
What is it that makes me tick? Well, I've been a nurse for 22 years and I've had a beautiful upbringing, to be honest. I've been a very lucky person in my life. And going into my career as a nurse, as you just said, I've had the opportunity to work with some really amazing people in Australia. To pronounce it properly, it was Yolngu, the Yolngu people up in Arnhem Land. Amazing people. And also working in the prisons, working for disability. I've travelled all around Australia and I've worked in Torres Strait Islands, Queensland, WA, all facets in the nursing. And the biggest theme, really that I have found to date for what is quite a financial country, there's still so many limitations and access to the basic human rights of education and healthcare, and the effects that this has on people. Lack of healthcare causes disability, and disability causes issues in health. It's quite a vicious cyclic thing that goes on. And through my years of experience and exposure, particularly, it dawned on me that, all the people that I tend to take under my wing are those that have that limited access and are stuck in this vicious cycle of disability and health, or health and which leads to disability.
Now,
listeners,
this is a really interesting topic. A lot of us are sitting in a bubble, and we wouldn't even know that this would exist, would we? We're in Australia.
I was in a bubble myself.
Yeah, so we wouldn't know that there are problems in the health systems, and we don't know until someone like you, who's been at the coalface of the health for such a long period of time and been in many, many different areas, that there is a big problem in Australia that is missing. So can you tell us a little bit more about what that is that you see that sort of could be changed with the work that you do? What is it that you do that is here to sort of bridge that gap?
Look, Jace, I was in that bubble too, and sometimes things happen that make our bubble burst, and I was thrown into the disability world with my son, and that's when I really started to recognise the gap. Like, there's a big gap that needs to be bridged in that area. And so really, I fought hard. I fought the education system, I fought the prison system, I've fought the health system, and we can fight and fight and fight, but as a single soldier I really wasn't getting anywhere. And sometimes you've got to choose your battles. So my life has taken me now into some studies deep into disability and doing my master's in autism and really trying to be that advocate for disabilities. So my business, Brightlives, came from that fight and from that struggle. And I was in that place, of survival, particularly after leaving the prison. How do I survive? How do I get forward with my son? What's available? How do we change this system that is so broken? And really, it was that not being heard, not being heard in a country that has the ability to provide that healthcare. So Brightlives is about a strength-based model. We work on a strength-based model. We work on a person-centred model. And this is something that's starting to become a bit more of a trend in the disability world. What would I like to see? I would like to see there no divide between ability and disability. And to do that, we need to be having a more strength-based focused model in the disability world.
I love this. And I think we've spoken about this offline about how magical these kids who had been, labelled ADHD or autism. And what I'm hearing you do, you tell me if I'm wrong, is you actually bring the qualities out rather than the problems. And I think we spoke about this on Friday last week about how we're looking at something like a kid has a problem, and you're trying to actually bring out the gifts that they have. So can you tell us a little bit more about this strength-based model that you're focusing on rather than like what they call a disability, when we both agree that your kid has an amazing ability. Our kids do. Like, why we turn them into problems instead of solutions?
Yeah. That's a really good statement, and we have had some hot conversations, haven't we, Jason, in terms of labels and names and strengths and deficits and disabilities. And, if we look at the history of disability over time, people with autism were locked away. People with leprosy were shoved on islands, so we don't have a really good record history of how we treat and deal with disability over the years. And I have to commend the world now. We're in a far better place, and there's lots of attention coming to it about diversity, and that's diversity in everything. Diversity. Look at the diversity we have now in sexuality. It's just that awareness and bringing to light these important things. So with disability, if we look, let's use the word label. I think that's a really good word. It's a powerful word. And label is, to me, a sticky thing that we stick on something to say, this is the flour, this is the sugar, this shirt belongs to me. It's a name. It's a name that we give something that identifies, say in the health, it identifies signs and symptoms behind that the characteristics of something. Yeah. So a label, we probably shouldn't call it a label. Let's call it a name. It's an identifier. But the problem with it is we are in a deficit-based model. Okay, so if we're in a deficit-based model, what are we doing? We're just naming all the deficits that exist. The word itself, disability, conjures up a negative mindset.
It does, and it's awful. That I know that you have to put yourself and market yourself to work with disability, and I'm hoping that at some stage that can be changed to magical. Right? I just hope it stops this rot of negativity towards our children.
Yeah, there's lots of it. And hopefully, you know, the word disability gets changed as time goes on. It's something that I will certainly push for, because it's not a disability and it's not a label. And look, those labels, those names are really, really important. Some people identify with themselves what's been going on for them for a lifetime. We have adults who are just being told that, they have ADHD. And they have these moments of realization of things that have unfolded in their life. So really, they have a really important place. However, again, in the medical model, we are quite deficit-based. How something doesn't work, how something's not working. So your question was to me about how do I work with a strength-based model?
Yeah.
I can give you some examples. I'll give you a funny one at the end, but I have a young lady who loves anime. She's big on anime. So we're looking at getting her into some courses about using cartoons, and she can do up the artwork and produce some amazing work for magazines, for internet, for websites, stuff like that. So she has these deficits that exist for her, but she has these magical powers. You know, we've got a young boy who's interested in dead bodies. Now, as crass and horrible as that sounds, he may be a really great mortician, you know, and it's really just encompassing that. It is a strength-based. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. It doesn't have to be frightening. Okay. So this poor young fellow, mum's beside herself. It actually took her a while to fess that this was something that he had. But it's a strength-based model that we work from. So we work with that stuff. Another boy loves antiques. Maybe he could have his own antique shop. Okay. And it's working with the parents. You know, I know for myself, I got stuck in these dirty lenses of what my son would be missing out on, the right and the wrong beliefs of life. Life should have looked this way. Life should be this way. And it's just not. These are beliefs and patterns that we have in our own mind of how we think it should be. If my son behaves in this way, he's never going to make any friends. And so he won't have what it is that I have or what it is that I want for him. Again, that's my lens, that's my vision for him. You know, what is it that he wants? What's okay for him? I've got a master's degree. Is that what my son wants though? Or am I going to push him towards a pattern and belief that just isn't suited to him? So it's looking at the strengths of the individual that you've got, including your own children. They don't have to have a disability for us to realise as a parent or as a friend or an aunt or an uncle to look at the strengths of those around us and build them, particularly with disability, because choice and control has been taken away. And the disability talks about choice and control, but you know, as a health professional, I've been making health decisions for people for a long time. And it's about empowering somebody with the education and knowledge so they can make those decisions themselves. I was born and bred in the health model. So now I have to rewire and undo to follow my dream and passion.
Yeah, that must be really hard too. I mean, we get taught in a system that says this is how it is. I'm a system breaker. I quite often I become quite annoying for people sometimes because I see the holes and the problems in people's systems all the time. And when we buy into our belief of how it is, I can come along and go, poke, hang on, what about this? And people get, get angry with me. I'm like, there's another angle to this that you're not seeing. And so when we've got this passion that you have, and it's obviously, you have an experience where your son has been given a disability tag. So we have an experience, and we call this in our academy purpose in your problems, where the problem becomes the solution and the way forward. And when we're in a position of having a really deep passion for changing a system that has been around for a very, very long time, I love the fact that you have the qualifications, the ability to go into areas that I can't, because you've got the qualifications that are required to be able to be taken notice of as well. So when we think about going into, a model that is, as you said, is a little bit dysfunctional in the way it thinks about, things being negatively based, how do you think you're going to be able to go in there with a sense of, purpose to bring in another way of thinking for people, as well as changing your own way of thinking as well?
That's a good question. To be honest, to get in that door, I need those qualifications, right? Those qualifications and years of study allow me to talk the talk. So I've had to earn my place on the ladder to speak to the right people. Am I talking to the right people? I don't know. I don't know yet. My plan's still in action, Jace. I think there's other areas of the government that I need to get into and have a really good team behind me. There's lots of professionals I know just in my small community that have the same passion as well for change. So just being able to speak the speak, talk the talk with the right people, having that foundational knowledge of what the system's all about, so that when I speak their language, and there's the odd, there's words that they resonate with. So when people know that you know what you're talking about, they'll stop and listen. And then when you add a bit of fire and passion around it, they feel that energy movement and will often go silent and listen. Sometimes it's planting the seed for people to go off. We have an amazing health system, don't get me wrong. We have a beautiful health system. And I've been very lucky to be in this health system that we have. It can just be better, and it just needs to be tweaked. So, I know you've done similar personal development and professional development courses as myself, and just recently I was asked what's my 100-year plan, so it made me look far beyond what Brightlives is today and what Brightlives is going to stand for. So to answer your question in how do I get in and change those models, I'm working on that, and it's going to take teams of researchers and evidence, because we're in an evidence-based model in health. They want proof. We need proof that it works, and so it's really putting together that proof and gathering the research and going, hey, and what's really exciting actually is there's a lot of proof being gathered at the moment. There's a Royal Commission into disability. And for those who aren't familiar, a Royal Commission is an investigation away from the government that actually talks to the people, and they have public hearings. So people get up and they speak about their ill treatment or mistreatment. They speak about the deficits that they're feeling in society. as well. So all of that information and everything at the moment is being aired.
Wow.
And it'll all come out next year. The Royal Commission, I believe it concludes September 23. I think that would make the way for change as well. We've got the new NDIS system come in. That's changing and refining all the time. So I think the people are being heard more now, but we still function in a deficit-based model.
Yeah. And I guess that's when we're thinking about this topic where we're thinking about survival sort of sits in a deficit baseline. It's sort of looking at things from a negative context and a concept. And NDIS is actually the building is getting built right next to me. So in about 6 or 7 weeks, the NDIS government organisation will be right next door to where I work. And so it's interesting just hearing you talk about, NDIS and the changes that it's making and the impact that it's got to make. And I think what you're doing, Mon, is so important to looking. And when you started, you were this person who had a want, right? You were working for yourself, and you had this wanton desire, and things are just clicking for you. Things are just working because of your drive and your passion to create a new way of looking at things. How's Brightlives sort of started? It started out with you, and now you've got quite a few employees. How is it going, like, from your perspective? I know quite often when we start something new, listeners, we have no idea what it's going to look like, and you've been flying by the seat of your pants to make it work. And it's amazing to watch, because there are people that I know who have created companies with a beer fridge in their house, and now they've got $300 million companies, $400 million companies based on an idea. And I think your idea, your fundamental reason for being on this planet, is something that I'm inspired by. You started out as this little human surviving in your own business world. What is it like for you now? Are you in a place where you're starting to feel like you're thriving in your business? How does it look for you now?
Do you know, I have the most amazing team around me, and I think that's probably the heart of it. It did start off with just me. I came from the broken justice system, and then I went into the disability, and I've just gone, oh my gosh, what is going on here? My values are not the same as the values that exist in some of the business, in some of the disability businesses that are around. And it opened my eyes. And so I thought, I'm doing this on my own. And that was with a lot of adversity, oh, you can't do that. You can't work for yourself. That's not possible. Well, nobody tells Mon something's not possible.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the same, mate.
Yeah.
You don't. That's like a red rag to a bull, isn't it?
It is. It was a red rag, but it came also. It was personal. It was really personal, and the education system did my son some misjustice, and I know that's not everyone's story, because now the education system that he's in help him to thrive. So this isn't broad and across the whole. Everybody's story is very different, and so I started Brightlives, and it started off, I need to make enough to get me by, and then the want got bigger than me. And there was people around me that really believed in what I was doing and wanted in. And so I created work for them. And so we started building our capacity. There were people with the same drive and vision. So now I've got 5. There's 5 people working for me. It's still only a small, a family-run business, I guess you could call it. And we actually service international now. We went international a couple of weeks ago. We're looking after a little boy in New Zealand, and I have a lady working for me from Germany. as well, running one of our programs. So that's really exciting, and it's grown organically, to be honest. I'm going with what the industry needs. There's no set framework at this point in time. There needs to be a set framework, and I can see that happening very quickly. The need got bigger, and now we're going through audit processes to become NDIS registered, so that our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, because it is a regulated system, and so it should be. We certainly can't have cowboys taking care of our vulnerable, and that's been happening a little bit in Australia. So this regulation is really important, and it's important that I take my business and my staff through that regulation as well, just to make sure that we are operating at the best that we can. Where are we going from here? I don't know, Jace. I love what we're doing already. It's really hard for me to go, wow, with such massive growth to where I am today, with a business that supports 5 families, where am I going to go from here? And yet I do have this 100-year vision. So flying by the seat of my pants is, very descriptive of what's happening for me.
What I love about you is that one of the most important, I was chatting, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that one thing is entrepreneurs necessarily have a really big plan. And entrepreneurs don't necessarily have a bulletproof plan. They have an idea where they want to go, but they don't really know exactly what that's going to look like. And this is so common for a lot of people, is that there's a wanting though, and a calling. And when there's a calling and a wanting, that actually creates the purpose and the flow and the drive, and we do need to have a more structured plan a lot of the time. The tricky thing within the helping industry that I see, and that we all need to change a little bit of, and we've spoken about this on a couple of weeks ago on a call, about I just want to help. That's what I'm here for, right? And so we go by the seat of our pants as we're helpers. We're just like, universe will support me as long as I just keep focusing on where I'm wanting to go. And we don't necessarily create our plan, because our help is actually our plan, right? And this is what I love about, and we spoke about this is what I love about the ethics of the helping-based industry, because we don't do it because we want to make a shitload of money, right? There's another reason for us doing stuff, because you have a son, right, that started you on this journey. It was more personal, as you said. It wasn't this, I just want to help these people who have disabilities. You had a personal experience, like a personal want and a desire. And when people come out of this, listeners, it's like people like Moni and I, we have beyond finance, and then we have to remember finances is really, really important to grow it. Our backbone, and the reason why we get up every day, is for one word and one word only. It's help. Would you agree, Mon?
Yeah. It's a big driving force for me. Contributing, a contribution to community.
Yeah. And I think when we've got this, this contribution and this want and this drive that builds community, we have this calling that contribution is the absolute key to get us there. So tell us more about contribution in community, Mon.
Look, community is everything. It's something that we've lost a little bit. COVID didn't help with that. We all went into isolation, and working with the Yolngu people was one thing that taught me about community. You help your neighbour. It takes a village. to bring up a child, and that doesn't exist anymore. It's gone, it's disappeared, and we really need to get that back, because it's all about, you know, that contribution. It's all about self-growth. It's about self-awareness. We are on this planet together. We're not here to run this journey on our own. And, you know, I've been a single parent for 11 years, and I've run this show on my own, and I don't want to run it on my own. You need to have that support, whether it's mental support, whether it's, you know, physical support. That support has to be there, you know. To become successful, to be where I am today, I have my mentors. I have my mentors for my personal growth. I have my mentors for my financial growth. You know, there are people that I go to that help keep me in sync. That's really important. And this is the community. So my business has to do the same. It is a reflection of my sole purpose. For my business to be successful, I've already built a survival to thrive model for myself. I've thrived from survival. You know, I've done it hard over the last 11 years. And that survive to thrive that you talk about, and the community contribution, is what Brightlives is based on. And so the point of Brightlives is to give back to the community, to support the people that don't have as much access, to get them the access, that don't have a voice to help them be heard, to find their place in society doing something that they love and that they want. The money that Brightlives makes goes back into Brightlives most of the time. It pays their staff, and it increases the capacity, its capacity, so that it can give to more people. You know, and that's a healthy cycle to be on. Yeah. This isn't about making a this isn't about making, you know, it's that contribution to community. Every single program that I run has a pro bono. Not everybody has the money and the access. You know, does it hurt my pocket to do something for free? No, it doesn't. It doesn't take food off my table, but it gives another family hope. It gives another family an in to that community and that contribution that we have. Anybody can be a part of the Brightlives community, you know.
I love this, because what you're taking is the Aboriginal concept from 1788 and trying to bring it into 2022. Because one of the things that people missed from the Aboriginal community was the word community, is that connectedness to nature, and they have a natural capacity to bring community to the fore. And we've created this separation based approach. Separatist, everyone's got their own patch, and no one's able to unfold and connect in and find a way that we can all meet in the middle. And, you know, Canberra means meeting place, and it was designed to create community. And it creates a whole bunch of, quite often, people fighting in a big parliament there in you know, it's only a couple of kilometers away from me where I am right now. And this is what's really essential, Mon, is that, you know, what you're doing, and this is what our academy does too, is it's designed to actually bring connection back to people. And you know, breaking this negative bias, giving a positive vibe and a great opportunities. And I love the business name, right? It's to create the light in a lot of people's dark tunnels. I know one of the guys in the academy has a child with severe cerebral palsy, and every day, if he doesn't do his routine, his baby girl, who's probably 10 years old, she's hard to lift now, will die, right? Yeah. and his attitude is amazing. Like, he gets up every day with a big smile on his face, and he sees the difficulties that all the people have that are in his area, because it's a really hard area, his space, with severe cerebral palsy. And the kids are amazing kids. He loves the kids, right? He looks at them as amazing, and his daughter's amazing. Her name's Indy, and she's telepathic. She can hear things, and he's got this gift, and he can talk to her through the mind, which is really, really lucky, but she's amazing. Every time something happens with the kids, she laughs. She's a really happy kid. And he doesn't look at her as a problem, whereas everyone doesn't know what to say to him when they're walking. When someone's got a deformity, let's say, people don't even know where to look, do they?
Yeah, and that's that lens, Jace. And that's a beautiful story to hear for both of them and their family, and the people that know them as well will grow and learn from watching their journey. Not all parents have, this goes back to what I was saying before, not everybody has that belief system, and he would have come from, there would have been moments of survival for him. I can guarantee what a crazy journey he would have been through, but one of the most fulfilling that anyone could ever ask for. His life would be rich, very rich, with that love and adversity and fortitude. I love the word fortitude. He obviously has gallons of fortitude. And, not all parents have that, and not all kids have that around them. And that's what Brightlives does. It's there to, one, particularly support the parent. We do a lot of one-to-one mentoring in supporting of parents, and just nutting out where these beliefs come from, what they mean. Are they, what's their importance? And just, cleaning some lenses at the way at which we look in things. And do you know what, Jason? It's truly just as simple as that sometimes. We have a talk to a man who's a barrister, a high academic, and he's falling apart with his daughter. And we get emails back going, I did it. I survived the afternoon. And I just looked at it through a different lens, like you taught me to. I think I can do this. Thank you. And it's just some simple information, some beautiful techniques that are about surviving this journey. It's not an easy journey. It's a really hard journey. Not only is it the health model built on a deficit, but it's also not, in particularly in Australia, how we're brought up to think and be. You go to school, you get a good job, you go to university, you do this, you do that, you get married, you have healthy children, and then your children have children and you become a grandparent. It's not that simple. But there's that belief that plays in our subconscious. So at Brightlives, we go into that subconscious mind and we have a look at that, and we rewire, we tweak a few things, and we use that. And that's what happened for me, particularly being in the academy. I can refocus that and see it through a different lens now, and I can use it. It's self-awareness. It's really self-awareness, and it's easy to get stuck in that bubble. It's easy to get stuck in the healthcare model. It's easy to get stuck in the social model. It's easy to get stuck in our own head. And I think that's the place where we get lost the most, is in our own head. And how do you not, when you've got all these other bubbles and models that are going on that we all have to live by? One of the biggest things I say, Jace, is there's a place in this world for everybody. Everybody has their place.
I love that. So what I'm hearing, Mon, is that you've got this amazing business that does the most important thing here, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing, from what I'm hearing, is that usually just the kids get supported. You do both, right? And so
100%.
this is not normal. Usually it's just the kids, and the parents are left stressed and they're out on a limb, and you're providing the absolute support for both. And I think this is really, really important, listeners. If you have a child that needs help, or you know of a child that needs help, Moni has an amazing service that looks after the community, which is the parents, the kids, the whole lot. And you've got the most amazing heart, Mon. I feel really lucky that I've gotten to know you over this period of time, to know what you're doing and sort of how important it is right now when we're under already enough duress, right, in life at the moment. And then we add what we would call a negative construct to our child, and there's difficulties there, and there's survival mode going on, and there's someone out there, guys, and it's Moni's business that's out there for you. And I believe that Moni's business is an essential service that is going to, create a huge wave in not only the support, but changing the industry from the ground up. And Moni, I really appreciate your time today. I really want to thank you for jumping on Uncovered. Is there any last words that you'd like to give of advice around, what people can do from survival to thrival, just to finish off today?
Probably my biggest advice is, for parents and families, is that you're not alone. Okay, it can feel very much that you are alone, and we have to get through this, and we conceal and hide what's going on for us. No secrets here. Everyone I've spoken to, we've all done the hard journey, and there's opportunity and chance for everyone. How your life is today isn't how it needs to be in a week's time. You can change that trajectory. Reach out, contact me, have a chat. I'm happy to help. Sometimes it's just that dirty lens that we're looking through, and we just need to refocus and look at what we do have in our life in a more positive way.
I love that. So thank you, listeners. So hopefully you really liked this podcast. And if you did, I'd love it if you could like and share this to someone who might need it. It's really important, this topic. And I'd love it. I'll give you all the details of Brightlives in the show notes, so you can click on the details so you can find out where Moni is and how to contact her. Thank you so much, Moni, for jumping on Uncovered. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Chase.
Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate your time, because time is so valuable. What we'd love you guys to do, if you like this podcast, if you could share it with your friends, and also our website address for the podcast is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com. Our website is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We have a free Facebook group called Wellness Leadership Evolution, so search for that. I'd love it if you could add me as a friend on Facebook. I don't bite, so add me as a friend. And if you want some help and you would really like some support from us in the Academy, jump in. We have a process. You can do a break-in call to connect in with us. We do small courses. We have lots of things that we share. So we'd love the opportunity to give you a chance to change your life and turn it into a free one. You are one transformation away from change. Come and catch up.